The concept of secrecy, often symbolized by the gesture of placing a finger over the lips, points to the idea that certain knowledge is too potent or dangerous for general understanding. This secrecy suggests a deeper, symbolic perception of the world, one that can only be grasped by those who are awake, individuals who perceive reality beyond its surface level. In contrast, most people are immersed in the collective unconscious, a term coined by Carl Jung, which refers to the shared unconscious mind of humanity. This collective unconscious is composed of archetypes, symbols, and memories passed down through generations, shaping how people perceive the world without their awareness. The asleep masses, unaware of this deeper structure of reality, live based on social conditioning and emotional reactions, often misinterpreting or distorting the messages they receive. This distortion is particularly evident in institutions like Freemasonry, which are associated with the search for deeper wisdom. Freemasonry's layers of secrecy and hierarchical degrees represent stages of knowledge and spiritual development where individuals, initiates, gain access to truths not readily available to the general public. However, the secrecy is not merely about withholding information but about protecting sacred knowledge from being misused or misunderstood by those not prepared for it. Communication becomes a double-edged sword. When you speak, you risk being misinterpreted, especially by those trapped in their limited worldview. This misunderstanding distorts your message, potentially creating false perceptions or new gods in the minds of the listeners, leading to psychological chains that hinder independent thought. This distortion and idolization of misunderstood ideas contribute to the creation of false structures, beliefs, and systems that people cling to, often without understanding their deeper truths. This is why ancient languages like Latin are preserved in religious texts, to protect the original meaning from distortion over time. The danger of these distortions is profound because once individuals adopt these false versions of reality, they become psychologically bound to them, preventing true spiritual and intellectual independence. The hierarchical structure of Freemasonry emphasizes stages of personal growth and enlightenment. As individuals progress, they gain the ability to see and communicate with greater clarity. Without this awareness, one remains vulnerable to manipulation by the collective unconscious or the distortions of others. Institutions like Oxford, and their preservation of knowledge, symbolize the importance of safeguarding wisdom and tradition. The purpose of life, as the transcript suggests, is not merely to accumulate material wealth or power, but to seek knowledge and preserve it for future generations. This knowledge, whether passed down through books, symbols, or language, forms the foundation of society's collective consciousness, and it is crucial to protect and maintain these institutions. In this broader framework, the symbolism of secrecy and the preservation of knowledge in institutions like Freemasonry reflect the need for knowledge to be safeguarded from misuse by the masses. The story of Cain and Abel illustrates this point. Cain, who seeks knowledge for superficial reasons, is contrasted with Abel, who seeks understanding with a pure heart, grounded in genuine spiritual growth. Cain's jealousy and violence toward Abel underscore the dangers of seeking knowledge without understanding or integrity. The journey toward enlightenment, as portrayed in the story, requires a humble and sincere pursuit, not the desire to manipulate or control others for personal gain. Ultimately, the path to true understanding and spiritual growth involves recognizing the importance of the journey itself, rather than focusing solely on the end goal. It is about aligning oneself with the deeper truths of existence, guarding against distortion, and preserving wisdom for future generations. This process of awakening, guided by institutions and symbols that safeguard knowledge, is what allows individuals to transcend surface-level perceptions and see the world in its deeper, more meaningful form. In his discussions, Jordan Peterson often speaks about the West being possessed by the spirit of Cain, symbolizing negative emotions like jealousy and anger. These emotions, according to Peterson, are not mystical spirits but reflections of our unconscious and conscious states. They are part of a psychological mirror, reflecting our inner turmoil and the world around us. Just like an echo in a hall of mirrors, our emotions, anger, jealousy, and resentment, are reflections of past experiences and present circumstances. This idea also touches on the phenomenon of ghost hunting, where people may feel haunted by spirits, but in reality, these experiences could stem from unresolved emotions. The analogy is drawn to groups like TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society, who investigate supposed hauntings, often reflecting how people seek external explanations for internal emotional struggles, like trauma or guilt, which they have yet to confront. The concept of microcosmic genesis. This idea draws from religious and philosophical traditions, where speech is seen as an act of creation. Much like God speaking the world into existence, when we speak, we are participating in the act of creation, shaping our reality in subtle but powerful ways. This aligns with the Heisenberg uncertainty principle in quantum mechanics, which suggests that the very act of observing something changes its state. Similarly, when we speak, we are shaping the world and ourselves in ways that go beyond simple communication.
Wait, if I'm here, and you're there, and I'm here, and you're there, and I'm here, and you're there, if I'm here, and you're there, and 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 I'm here,
you're right there. I'm here. Yeah. Q. Nikki. B.O.B. House.
They might be listening.
Language and thought, therefore, are not just tools of expression, they are transformative forces that mold reality. Words, as creations, have a profound impact on both our external environment and our internal states. This concept extends to the idea of secret knowledge being conveyed symbolically. By presenting knowledge symbolically, it isn't always meant to be understood on a surface level but to be internalized at a deeper, often unconscious level. This is evident in the use of symbols in marketing, where brands and images tap into something deeply embedded in our collective unconscious, influencing our perceptions and behaviors without our explicit awareness. This aligns with the research on multigenerational trauma, which shows that experiences, memories, and emotions can be passed down genetically. Just as symbols carry meaning beyond their immediate form, so too do our inherited memories and traumas, influencing our consciousness in ways we might not fully understand. In this way, the collective unconscious shapes both our individual and societal experiences, reflecting a deep, interconnected web of shared human history and psychological inheritance. AI, in this context, can serve as a valuable partner in the creative and intellectual process, helping individuals refine, reframe, and articulate their ideas. It provides new perspectives, adding context and insights that may not have been considered in the moment, enhancing cognitive processes rather than replacing them. This partnership is particularly significant because language, especially in English, is inherently ambiguous, often making it difficult to express complex thoughts and emotions clearly. English, with its rich nuances and multiple ways to express the same idea, can lead to disconnects between what one intends to communicate and how it is understood. AI assists by helping to bridge these gaps, offering suggestions, organizing thoughts, and ensuring that the essence of an idea is communicated as clearly as possible. However, AI does not generate content on its own, it aids in thinking and idea development. The creative work, including the intellectual effort, still comes from the individual. This dynamic is similar to the use of tools throughout history, like the washing machine or the invention of writing systems, that enable people to accomplish tasks more efficiently, freeing up time for more advanced work. Just as the washing machine doesn't make someone lazy but rather saves time, AI doesn't replace creativity, it streamlines the process, allowing for deeper insights and more refined expressions of thought. A key aspect of the writing process involves research, especially when tackling complex subjects. While AI can assist with brainstorming, organizing, and even fact-checking, the hard work of ensuring accuracy and conducting thorough research remains the responsibility of the writer. This reflects the iterative nature of writing, a constant process of speaking, brainstorming, researching, rewriting, and refining. AI is a tool to support this process, but it requires the writer's creative direction to guide it. Furthermore, AI, as a language model, doesn't think like humans. It cannot replace personal insight, style, or the depth of research that an individual brings to a project. It is crucial to remember that AI can't replace the complexity and depth of a person's thought process. Instead, it enhances the ability to translate those thoughts into language more effectively. This distinction is essential when critics argue that using AI in writing is cheating. It comes from a misunderstanding of how creativity works. Creativity lies in making connections, recognizing patterns, and expressing unique ideas. AI helps by assisting with the technical aspects of translating those ideas into language but does not detract from the original thought or creativity. The role of language in shaping how we think and communicate is also critical here. Mastering language enhances reasoning and the ability to articulate nuanced concepts. This is especially true in English, which is deeply rooted in Greek and Latin. These ancient languages have shaped English into a medium that not only communicates but also expresses logic, art, and the complexities of human thought. The etymology and historical significance behind English words add layers of meaning that enrich the thought process. For instance, Greek has heavily influenced terms related to philosophy, logic, ethics, and democracy, while Latin contributed vocabulary related to law, science, and theology. In essence, understanding the roots and history of language opens doors to deeper insights, enabling individuals to engage with complex ideas and communicate more effectively. By studying the nuances of English, one accesses intellectual traditions that help shape the way we think, speak, and create. This intellectual richness is mirrored in the relationship between AI and creativity. Just as understanding language allows for a more profound connection to the world, AI allows for more refined and efficient creative expression, enhancing human insight rather than diminishing it. Language is deeply intertwined with the logic and structure of the concepts it conveys, a relationship that is profoundly evident in religious contexts. Sacred texts and prayers are often preserved in their original languages, not merely for tradition's sake but to maintain the precise meaning, theological depth, and spiritual frameworks embedded in the language. For instance, in Christianity, the use of Latin in Catholic liturgy is not just about tradition, it preserves the accuracy of the prayers and scriptures. Latin, being a dead language, does not evolve or change, ensuring that its meanings remain fixed over time and safeguarding the integrity of the faith's doctrines. Similarly, the Quran's original language, Classical Arabic, holds a special place in Islam. It is revered as the direct word of God, with the language's structure, rhythm, and logic considered miraculous. While translations of the Quran can convey the general meaning, they often fail to capture the subtleties, poetic beauty, and layered logic embedded in the original Arabic. This is why prayers like Salah must be performed in Arabic, to fully connect with the divine structure of the message. This principle underscores that language is not merely a medium of expression but the very architecture of thought. When we translate or change a language, we inevitably alter its logic and the nuances it carries. This is why sacred traditions prioritize preserving the original language to maintain the integrity of the logic, philosophy, and essence of their teachings. The same principle applies in secular contexts, where language and logic are intertwined, shaping not only what we think but how we think. Language acts as an interface between raw logic and human experience, allowing us to perceive and articulate both the external world and our inner realities. For example, the act of perceiving, whether it's looking into the abyss, as Nietzsche described, or recognizing the deeper meanings in complex ideas, is facilitated through language. When language changes, whether through translation, shifts in symbols, or altered definitions, it reshapes the frameworks of logic, emotion, and even how we experience and express ourselves. In mathematics, changes in notation or definitions can give rise to entirely new branches of knowledge, such as calculus, algebra, or set theory. This mirrors the way different branches or sects emerge in religious traditions like Christianity and Islam, as shifts in language and thought lead to new perspectives and interpretations. Just as different fields of knowledge develop through the evolution of language and definitions, the same principle applies to spiritual and intellectual domains, highlighting the interconnectedness of all systems of thought. Furthermore, this interconnectedness is also a key characteristic of polymaths, individuals who master multiple disciplines and understand how they are linked. One of the reasons for their success is their ability to recognize patterns in the logic of various structures, whether in programming languages, engineering fields, or broader concepts. This ability to discern underlying patterns and logic is fundamental to understanding the world's complexity, echoing the idea that everything is connected through a shared framework of logic and language. Understanding these connections allows for deeper insights and mastery across different disciplines, much like the interconnected principles in Freemasonry or the collective unconscious that underpins human thought and experience. Polymaths, individuals who excel across multiple disciplines, represent a rare and remarkable synthesis of knowledge. Historically, figures like Leonardo da Vinci demonstrated the ability to master various fields, art, science, engineering, and anatomy, because they understood the underlying interconnectedness of knowledge. Unlike the modern educational system, which often compartmentalizes fields into isolated silos, polymaths approached learning with a holistic mindset, recognizing that all disciplines are intertwined through universal principles. This perspective aligns with Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious, which suggests that shared symbols, patterns, and knowledge transcend individual fields of study, revealing common threads that run through disparate areas. This approach contrasts sharply with the fragmented nature of contemporary education, which emerged in large part due to the influence of the Industrial Revolution. The compartmentalization of knowledge is a product of the need for specialization, but it also limits the broader understanding that polymaths naturally possess. When polymaths study different subjects, they don't just learn isolated facts, they develop an intuitive sense of how various principles connect, whether in mathematics, engineering, or philosophy. The complexity of each field becomes more manageable because they recognize the end of the complexity and the limit of its depth. They know how deep the bowl of complexity goes and understand why it goes that deep. An example of this kind of intuitive understanding can be seen in the memory of a childhood contest where I was asked to guess the number of candies in a jar. Without counting each candy individually, I used intuition, estimation, and pattern recognition to estimate the number of candies accurately. This illustrates the polymath's ability to perceive systems and patterns beyond surface-level details. The candy jar became a metaphor for how knowledge works. By understanding the underlying structure of a system, one can make accurate predictions without needing to account for every single element. Freemasonry, with its emphasis on universal principles and the recognition of an overarching grand design, mirrors the polymathic mindset. The appeal of Freemasonry lies in its acknowledgement that there is an interconnected unity within the universe and human knowledge, much like the polymath's ability to discern the connections across different fields. In both cases, the focus is on understanding the larger structure that ties everything together, whether in the physical world or in the abstract realms of thought. This interconnected view allows individuals to appreciate the beauty and depth of knowledge, making them more capable of seeing beyond the complexity of individual disciplines to the greater harmony that underpins them all. So, in a way, the concept behind the Da Vinci Code aligns closely with what we're discussing. The novel, through its portrayal of Leonardo da Vinci's hidden knowledge and his ability to perceive deeper patterns and connections in art, science, and religion, echoes the polymathic approach of seeing underlying structures in seemingly disparate fields. Just as da Vinci was able to blend art and science, philosophy and engineering, the Da Vinci Code explores the idea of secret, interconnected knowledge that transcends traditional boundaries, whether through symbolism, ancient mysteries, or religious narratives. In a broader sense, the book taps into the idea that knowledge, especially when viewed through a holistic lens, reveals connections that aren't immediately apparent. The code in the title is a metaphor for hidden wisdom. Just as polymaths like Da Vinci could uncover hidden connections across different disciplines, the novel suggests that there are deeper truths to be discovered if we learn to see the patterns that lie beneath the surface of culture, history, and human experience. It also reflects the idea that some knowledge, like the deeper meanings within sacred texts or works of art, can only be truly understood by those who have a deep, interdisciplinary understanding of the world. So, the Da Vinci Code serves as a narrative example of the polymathic thinking we're discussing, the recognition that different fields of study, whether science, philosophy, or spirituality, are deeply interconnected, and that uncovering these connections can lead to profound insights and understanding. Historically, Freemasons valued wisdom and intellectual curiosity, fostering a more integrated understanding of various subjects. This approach allowed them to recognize connections between fields that others might overlook. In contrast, modern education tends to be more specialized and compartmentalized, largely for practical reasons. While this specialization is necessary in many industries, it can make it harder for individuals to see the broader connections and patterns that polymaths, or people skilled in many fields, might easily recognize. The shift from Renaissance-style learning, where intellectual curiosity spanned multiple disciplines, to a more career-oriented education has led to this divide. Polymaths in earlier times didn't just accumulate knowledge across isolated fields, they synthesized and applied it across domains, sparking innovation. Today, while polymaths still exist, they often navigate a world that prioritizes specialization. Fields like cognitive science, systems theory, and artificial intelligence, which naturally integrate knowledge from various domains, offer opportunities for interdisciplinary work. However, maintaining a broad, integrated view of knowledge is increasingly challenging in the modern education system. This specialization is rooted in the demand for perfection in industries, where innovations must meet regulatory standards, practical feasibility, and market demands. As a result, modern advancements are often incremental rather than groundbreaking, focusing on fine-tuning existing technologies rather than exploring new, radical ideas. For example, if someone were to create a kinematic robot similar to the ones envisioned by Leonardo da Vinci, they would face numerous challenges today. These include complying with regulations, ensuring the reliability of the product, addressing ethical concerns, and fitting the creation into existing industrial frameworks. In Da Vinci's time, however, there were fewer constraints. His innovations were driven by curiosity and the freedom to explore, without the pressure to conform to strict regulatory standards or market demands. The freedom to experiment and conceptualize allowed for greater creativity. In contrast, the modern emphasis on practicality, profitability, and safety often stifles this creative freedom. Innovations today are expected to be immediately applicable, reducing the space for speculative, interdisciplinary thinking that once thrived. Industries today aim for perfection, maximizing efficiency, minimizing risk, and achieving optimal output, leading to a focus on refining existing technologies rather than pushing boundaries. This drive for perfection creates a paradox, where everything becomes so focused on the details that the bigger picture, the broader context, is lost. The concept of what came first, the chicken or the egg, illustrates this paradox. The drive for specialization and perfection makes it hard to see the larger, creative potential that arises from exploring connections across different fields. In modern society, people often become deeply entrenched in their specialized industries, mirroring the specific demands and regulations of their environments. Over time, this creates a highly detailed, sometimes dogmatic approach to work, where the bigger, more innovative ideas may be overlooked. In earlier times, polymaths like Da Vinci had the freedom to explore a wide range of ideas without the constraints of rigid industries or regulatory frameworks. Today, those who seek to be polymaths must navigate a highly complex and competitive world, often facing financial difficulties and lacking the mentorship that once helped people develop a broad range of expertise. Innovation now often focuses on how new ideas can fit within the existing framework, leading to incremental improvements rather than the boundary-pushing explorations that marked the Renaissance. Ultimately, the modern focus on specialization and perfection has made it harder for individuals to embrace the kind of free-thinking, cross-disciplinary exploration that polymaths once embodied. The result is that the creative process has become more restricted, with innovation focusing less on discovering new possibilities and more on optimizing within established structures. This shift mirrors changes in the arts, where many contemporary artists follow similar trends without reinvention, often relying on the collective unconscious rather than offering radically new perspectives. Great artists and thinkers continue to break new ground, but the overall trend has been toward a more conventional and less daring approach to creativity.